Am I the a-hole for telling my in-laws exactly where my husband was when I was in labor? I gave birth to my son 10 weeks ago. I went through an exhausting period while I was nearing my due date. I was experiencing discomfort and wanted my husband by my side when I go into labor. But he'd go out every night to hang out at his friend's place and watch football games. I suggested that he play/watch games at home just in case, but he was having none of it and said he had to attend game night at his brother and friend's place, along with his buddies. He said they had certain, how can I describe it, rituals when watching a game, and he can't enjoy doing it at home or anywhere else. The night of our son's birth, my water broke while my husband was at his buddy's place watching a game. I called him and told him to get home and take me to the hospital. It said he was coming, but he didn't. I ended up calling my sister and she took me to the hospital. My husband showed up 2 hours later after he kept calling asking if I was still in labor and that he was almost done watching the game. He was able to make it on time for our son's birth, but I was furious with him, mad and disappointed. He apologized profoundly and has been working on regaining my trust and respect for him after what he's done. He is otherwise very supportive and involved in our son's care. Last night, I was at my in-laws' house for dinner, and we were talking about my son's birth date. My husband suddenly started recalling what happened that night, and basically started lying about driving me to the hospital, waiting and feeling stressed out, and standing on his feet for so long without food or even water. I was confused. I said, no, none of this was true. None of this happened. In fact, he was watching a game when I went into labor, and I wanted him to drive me to the hospital, but he didn't show up till 2 hours later. My mother-in-law, who takes no nonsense from anybody in whom everyone fears, lost it on him, yelling, asking him if that was true, and he kept quiet. He started berating him left and right, telling him to sit down and shut up when he stood up to argue, then told him to stand up when he was sitting arguing. Everyone was laughing at how she basically treated him as if he was a boy in trouble. She kept saying, shame, shame, shame on you. This is not how I raised my children to treat their wives. Jordan, you are a disgrace, and I'm disappointed because of what I heard from you. He literally swallowed every bit of his mother's berating, and didn't say anything till we got home, where he went nuts saying made him look neglectful. A bad husband and father by telling the family about where he was, and said I shouldn't have said anything. But I argued it wasn't okay for him to lie and play hero in front of his parents. He said I just caused a rift between him and family and asked if I was happy now. Am I the a-hole? Should I have not said anything? Added to say that he has done similar things in the past since he's a major enthusiast of football and hockey, but I didn't expect it to get to that. Also, this is not our first baby together. We have a 4-year-old son. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You didn't make him look like anything. He did. Truth hurts. Maybe next time he will do what he should and not act like a child. Not the a-hole. You said that he's working on regaining your trust, but by lying about his refusal to be there for you, he took a major step back in his attempt to be more trustworthy. Your mother-in-law is awesome though. Your husband got exactly what he deserved. I love the mother-in-law here. Wow. Just wow. Not the a-hole. Husband is absolutely 100% an a-hole for 1, not driving his wife to the hospital when she went into labor, 2, waiting until the game was over to get to the hospital, and 3, lying about it to his family. This would honestly make me question divorce. This is bad. At the very least, marriage counseling would be a must. His argument was that my sister's house was 15 minutes away and thought she'd take me, then he'll follow. Not the a-hole, and I'm sorry. But it sounds like you have deeper issues than him just going to his friend's house to watch football. He doesn't have respect for you, and unfortunately it shows clearly. After his mom put him in his place, which I fully support and think was on the right, he went back home to scream at you and berate you for telling her the truth? At this point, his relationship with his mom shouldn't be your concern. It should be his lack of interest in you and your child, which was clearly shown by him not even showing up to take you to the hospital. I don't believe that saying to you to leave him will do anything. But you do need therapy ASAP. And if he doesn't want any, that's your full answer. You're a mother now and need to put your and your child's well-being before your husband's. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for punishing my husband for throwing away my dinner? To preface, my husband 33 and I 29 have been together for 4 years. He's vegan and I'm not. He cooks for himself and I cook for myself since he doesn't eat meat products. Last night, I prepared dinner and sat on the couch to eat and watch TV. I heard my phone ring upstairs and went to answer it as it was an important call. I got caught up in the conversation and didn't realize I spent 6 minutes on the phone. I went downstairs after the call ended and saw my husband sitting on the couch. I looked past him and saw my dinner plate was gone. I looked around asking if he touched it. I decided he dumped the food in the trash can because it looked like it was left on the coffee table for a long time, and there was bad smell coming out of it, almost like the meat was rotting inside, and said that while making a disgusted face. I was floored. I yelled at him, "What the hell is wrong with you?" I just prepared dinner for myself and was about to eat but had to take a 6-minute phone call and come back. He said he didn't know food was fresh since he was in his office working, but still insists there was weird smell coming from the plate. I said it was none of his concern, and he should have left it alone. But he defended himself, saying it wasn't his fault his eyes got tired of working and wanted to watch TV. But I decided to leave meat laying around for him to feel disgusted, knowing how he reacts to being exposed to meat products. He started making gagging sounds, then went on about the living room being mutual space and that I disrespected him by leaving meat around. I mentioned that he always eats his food in the living room, sometimes the bedroom even. He said, "So you're saying you're disgusted with my cooking?" I asked if he was disgusted with mine, but he explained that his problem was me leaving meat on display with total lack of consideration for his health. We got in a big argument that I went upstairs and refused to do the dishes, after he reminded me since that's my part of chores. True. He ended up doing them himself and started complaining I was punishing him for what happened by making him do the dishes with his injured, he had an accident, hand. I said since his injured hand threw my dinner away, then it can do the dishes just fine. But he said I'm violating the deal and not sticking to my part of chores. Am I the a-hole? I'm thinking maybe he was right and that the living room is shared space and I shouldn't have left meat there. Not the a-hole. Your husband sure is. I understand that he's not thrilled with you eating meat. However, he behaved in a childish and petty manner. What he did was both wasteful and disrespectful. There is no way he would have allowed meat to sit around for days, thus allowing it to rot and smell bad. He knew you were a meat eater prior to marriage. If he had a problem with it, he shouldn't have gotten married. Honestly, I haven't eaten meat for 10 plus years, and it's pretty freaking obvious that freshly cooked plate of meat isn't rotting. It also won't affect his health to have it in his vicinity. These are all just BS excuses. As a vegan, that genuinely pisses me off because he just wasted meat just to be a petty a-hole. Yeah, I'm a vegetarian of almost 20 years. This dude's just really dumb and trying to make a point. Not the a-hole. So your husband is a vegan and doesn't agree with eating meat, but surely by throwing your food away has now made it so the animal died for absolutely no reason, since you didn't get to eat it? Not only does he sound rude, controlling, condescending, and obnoxious, he's also furthering the problem by wasting the meat that would have at least died for a reason if you'd been able to eat it. I absolutely hate people that force their way of life on others. I'm a vegetarian, but would never stop my husband eating meat because that's his choice. Not the a-hole, but kinda everyone sucks here. He definitely shouldn't have thrown out your dinner without asking if you're finished with it, and you understandably reacted poorly to it. But all of this is you both overreacting and being upset at something that should be a minor annoyance in a healthy relationship. I think you and your husband need to take this as a sign that there's something that's deeply wrong and needs to be discussed in private. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that she is the mediocre one? My wife and I are both highly educated people. We both have doctorates and several master's degrees, as well as being successful in our professional lives. We also have a son, Caleb, 18 male, who is our pride and joy. Throughout Caleb's life, my wife and I have had some disagreements about parenting. I'm someone who values my son being a well-rounded person, which means I don't want Caleb to just have good grades and I don't care if he doesn't get a perfect score. And my wife is someone who values grades and discipline. It has taken us a long time to find a balance between what me and my wife want. Caleb is in his first semester of law school. One of the requirements to graduate is to certify that you know the English language. Since Caleb already has a certification, he decided to pick up German as a fourth language. I advised him to maybe wait to third semester to start learning German, just to give himself time to get used to how university works, and also because he has history of pressuring himself a lot when studying. Caleb was adamant on starting now, so I didn't push the issue forward. He just finished his second evaluation and is not doing as well as he expected. He's doing, in my opinion, fine. 9 out of 10 in his first test and 8 out of 10 in his second one, but he is very upset with himself. I tried to console him and told him that if he wanted to, we could look for some private tutoring. But I also reassured him that for someone who has never spoken an ounce of German, he is doing amazing. My wife, on the other hand, is furious with Caleb. She told him that his grades are unacceptable and to start putting in more effort on his education. Caleb got even more upset and started crying. She tried to ground him for 2 weeks with no outings, but I didn't let her do so. So now she's mad with me. She says that my weak parenting is allowing our son to be mediocre, and that she didn't raise Caleb to be average. I got mad because our son is nor average nor mediocre, so I ask her how many languages she speaks. My wife answers 1, so I tell her that she really doesn't have a say on this particular issue, since out of the 3 of us, she's most likely the mediocre one in that department. She got even more furious, so now I'm sleeping on the couch until further notice. I think you're really messed up here, but I got very mad with her for making our son cry, so I couldn't keep quiet. This is way beyond Reddit's pay grade. Not today, Hall, but you need to get your son some help or he's going to burn out, and it will be you and your wife's fault. Someone needs to advocate for him, and ASAP. This reminds me of that one meme, "You ruined a perfect good ex." Look at it, it's got anxiety. Not today, Hall. Your son is 18 years old and your wife is still trying to ground him? For bad grades? He doesn't sound mediocre. Keep sticking up for your son. How is 8 out of 10 mediocre anyway? Mediocre would be 5 out of 10. In my opinion, those grades are not bad at all. His first test consisted of 50 questions and he was wrong on 6, so he got 9. His second test was 60 questions and he was wrong on 12, so he got 8. He's never had contact with the German language, so those marks are fantastic. I'm gonna go with everyone sucks here. Mostly your wife is the a-hole, but it sounds to me like you have been enabling her or not putting your foot down for far too long. I was considered prodigious in elementary school. I just learned to read in kindergarten and had a head start. And because of my overachieving parents, I was totally burnt out by high school. Beyond a certain point, this pressure will only make Caleb's grades fall even more, together with his mental health. Please get him a therapist and have a big sit-down talk with your wife about whether Caleb's achievements are honestly higher on the priority list than his health and happiness. Better yet, considering her mindset likely originated from her own upbringing, she would probably also benefit from therapy. After all, I'm sure she loves her child, just not the way he needs her to. Last story. Am I the a-hole for volunteering my boyfriend and his truck to help my brother and his wife move? My 24 female boyfriend of over 2 years, 27 male, owns a newer, full-sized truck. I think he sinks way too much of his income into it and should probably just drive a regular car since he just drives it back and forth to work and to do errands. But he loves it, and it's his baby. My older brother, 31 male, and his wife, 31 female, recently bought a house and are moving out of their apartment. I was at my parents' house with the 2 of them when they announced it to us. When I asked them when they were moving and they told me, I told them, well, hey, my boyfriend has his truck, which I'm sure will come in handy. I'll have to ask him, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind you using it and helping you out. They told me that this would be great. When I told my boyfriend about it, though, to say that he started grumbling would be an understatement. He started going on about how he didn't want to give up his Saturday to help my brother and his wife move, and how he didn't want to put that wear and tear on his truck. He said that people moving stuff in and out of his truck bed was likely to put scratches on it, and how I shouldn't have volunteered him at his truck without talking to him first. I told them that I'd have to ask him first, and that it was ultimately up to him. He responded that there was no way for him to say no to it without looking like an a-hole to my family, so I pretty much made it so that he had no real choice. I think he's been kind of a baby, honestly, and should just be happy to help. My brother actually helped my boyfriend get his current job, so my boyfriend kind of owes him one. But maybe I was a little presumptuous? What do you think? You're the a-hole. You can't do that for him. You should have said nothing and asked him first. If he now feels obliged to do it, you need to help. It's very hard work. People can only offer themselves to do something like that. I bet it doesn't tell his siblings that you're gonna make a dinner for them and their 30 guests, because they helped you with a plan too. This. You should have just kept quiet, asked him, and then said, hey, my partner has a vehicle we can use. You put him in such a tight spot. Opie, you're the a-hole. I also love how Opie is super critical about the truck in the first paragraph, but as soon as it comes in handy, she volunteers it on his behalf. I say you're the a-hole. You pretty much volunteered someone else's time without asking them. Doesn't matter if it's family or not, it's still their day and not yours to give away. And let's be honest, moving sucks. And people can't back out. You pretty much backed him into a corner to not being able to say no without looking like a total a-hole to your family. Also, you really shouldn't talk so badly about how he spends his money on a hobby that he clearly enjoys. If his bills are paid, then what he does in his spare time that gives him joy then is not stupid. And note that there was no mention of paying for his time or even just gas. Laughing my butt off. Do any of these people realize your boyfriend wouldn't even have a job if it weren't for your brother? They are family. Like, how ungrateful. I'm 28, but it seems like everyone in the comments is so butthurt because of his precious Saturday and, oh my god, scratches. First of all, the scratches won't freaking happen. There are so many ways around this. Also, if you live in Southern California and you own a truck, you're pretty much a small member of Chad. Especially if you don't even use it for its intended use. Like, I'd be embarrassed to be with someone who owns such a truck and doesn't actually use it for anything besides point A to B. Yes, moving sucks and helping people sucks, but you can help one day with your boyfriend. It could be fun and a bonding experience and when you need to move. Who's to say you won't need help too? Like, did everyone forget what family is? I completely agree. Volunteering someone isn't the greatest, but the boyfriend would be in the exact same situation of looking like an a-hole had a family ask him. And if you're worried about your truck bed getting scratched, then you don't need a truck. Or just put a sheet of plywood down first. Am I the a-hole for kicking my ex-boyfriend out after he euthanized my dog? To get started, I mid-20s have been with my ex-boyfriend late 20s for about 1.5 years, and he moved in with me a few months ago. Anyways, I have had a senior chihuahua Cinnamon or Cinnamon for the last 15 years of my life. She was my whole world because she was part of key moments growing up in my life. I have a very difficult job to get time off. And about a week ago, I noticed Cinnamon had a lump on her middle stomach area and got a vet appointment as soon as possible. I wasn't able to get time off to take her, so I asked boyfriend to take her and he agreed. I gave him my card to get whatever test they needed to do. I told him to call me when he found out anything. I took a late lunch to give him a call. I called him and no answer. Okay, maybe he's still at the vet doing tests. I got home at around 6 p.m. and he was in the living room kind of just sitting there with the TV on. He asked what the vet said and where Cinnamon was. He didn't really look at me. He told me the vet said it was cancer, and it wasn't going to get better, and he had them put Cinnamon down to prevent suffering. I froze. I didn't understand what he was saying to me, and I only managed to get out, "You what?" And he repeated what he said. I started screaming/sobbing at him. He got defensive, saying that what he did was for the best. I screamed at him to get out now, and after some more choice words, he sped off in his car. I don't want to get into what happened after I left, and it's still so hard to type out now. In the morning, I had a bunch of texts and calls from him. I didn't respond. I emptied out some plastic storage tubs and started packing all of his items. After I was finished, I put the tubs on the side of the house by the garage and texted him to collect his stuff. He arrived about an hour later and was banging on the door saying I was being dramatic and it was just a dog. I think he's going to be staying with his parents, but I'm not sure. I managed to get hold of the vet, and by some miracle, they hadn't gotten rid of the toxic waste yet, and I was able to get Cinnamon cremated. I go to pick her up in a couple days. I can't stop thinking about if what I did was right. I can't forgive X for what he did, but maybe I went a little crazy kicking him out right there and then. So, am I the a-hole for kicking him out and putting his stuff outside? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. It was just a dog. I would love to see your Rex explain that to John Wick. I felt like I could go John Wick on him. Me and my closest friends and family are having a little goodbye party for Cinnamon when I get her back. I am so very sorry for you. The worst health decisions I've ever had to make regarding my dogs have revolved around cancer. I just can't believe that he made that decision without even bothering to talk to you. I'd say that you dodged a bullet with regards to your boyfriend. He told you a whole lot about himself. Good for you for kicking him out ASAP. Godspeed, Simpson. You're a beloved friend and you will be missed. Not stay home. This is freaking garbage. He absolutely should have contacted you before he made a decision. There would have been no reason to rush and do it when you couldn't be there. Even if your pet was in pain, a veterinarian could have prescribed meds to keep Cinnamon comfortable until you could say goodbye. This man has no heart. Let him leave. Just a dog is bullcrap. Sounds like he was jealous of the dog. The cancer diagnosis was shocking to me. Yes, Simpson was getting up there in age, but she was still eating, drinking, going potty, being normal since I found a lump. The vet confirmed with me when I called that it was a fast-acting cancer, but she could have gotten pain medicine for at least a couple weeks until she started getting uncomfortable. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for blowing up at my husband for sending his family a picture of our newborn? Me, female 27, and Phil, male 32, have been married for 3 years. We both have families who want to be first and everything. Phil read me an article about boundaries and encouraged me to set boundaries for both families. I agreed, and we made progress. As the birth of our son approached, we handled the family's requests. Both moms wanted to be in the room. We said no. Both dads wanted the first photo with the baby, but we said no till they agree. Both families wanted to be at a hospital to see our son, but we said no, then agreed to host a gathering on Tuesday, where both families get to see our son at the same time for the first time. No pictures, posts, or video calls till then, since I needed to recover. Everything was going well. It started when Phil secretly took a picture of our son and sent it to his family. It blew up. Everyone tagged everyone on Facebook. Mom and family saw not only the picture, but posts my in-laws made saying we won in the end, or our grandson chose us, and 1-0. Then mother-in-law lied about taking the picture herself at the hospital. Mom called crying, saying Phil leaked and shared picture of our son and violated the agreement both families had. Dad said that on top of the defeat, they had to deal with the propaganda and emotional stress from in-laws. I was fuming. I asked Phil if he sent his family a picture of our son hours ago. He said, jokingly, yesn't. I blew up at him saying we had an agreement. And me and family respected it, but he and family on the other hand were humiliating my family, ruining their joy, and rubbing the fact that they got to be the first to see our son in their face. He said, so what? A family should quit being overdramatic when things don't go their way. I said his family are the ones with the overdramatic, passive-aggressive attitude. I showed him every post and tag they made, and asked if he'd be happy if my family did this. He scrolled for a couple minutes nodding and looking impressed. He said all he did was innocently send Mom a picture since she wouldn't stop calling, hassling and begging him for one picture. I said he still violated our agreement to not share photos till Tuesday. In this way, his family will never respect the boundaries we try to set. I asked if those boundaries were just for my family to keep them at arm's length while obviously favoring his. He said, that's my son. I have the authority to send a picture of him to whomever I please, okay? Your family? The entire lot of them can either shut the hell up and get over it, or wait for your sister to miraculously give them a baby. We argued some more, and I refused to drop it. He said I overreacted, blew his joy, and made a big deal out of it just because my family has nothing better to do than cry woe is me, and wrapped up by saying it clearly wasn't meshed, too deep in the fog and needed to cut the damn cord already. I'm thinking I might have been harsh. Am I the a-hole? Context. Phil doesn't have the best relationship with my family. He thinks they are controlling, and tries to exclude them from events while letting his family get involved in everything. He's not always home due to work at the local police department, but he still controls what events my family should/shouldn't attend. Also, my sister is infertile. The way Phil said miraculously hurt me on her behalf. Not the a-hole. For the record, I think both families, including you and your husband, making a competition out of baby milestones is really dumb. This is a child here, not a badminton tournament. Posts my in-laws made saying we won in the end, or our grandson chose us, and 1-0. This is so messed up. It shows they have no concept of your son as a human being. I didn't read in the post that Opie and husband made it into a competition. I felt like their parents did that on their own. But otherwise, I agree with your comment. The grandparents are vile and unhinged. The husband is dismissive of Opie, who is, reasonably, upset that a boundary was violated. And the entitlement of the husband to break this boundary because of a sense of ownership over the son/photos is gross. Poor Opie. But what on earth is wrong with all the people in her life? Honestly, I'd be beyond pissed. Glad you're so happy they got to see the picture first. I need some time away from you. Me and the baby are going to stay with my parents for a while. If he thinks Opie should be happy about his parents gloating about being chosen, then I'm sure he will just be thrilled that Opie's parents get to spend so much time with the baby. Maybe I'm doing petty revenge here, but if my hubby acted like that, first chance I'd get, I'd pack up some stuff and take my kid to my family for a few days and post pictures of them on Facebook. Let my kid meet my family, as I would not let my partner get away with talking to me like that. Edit to add, I thought I'd do an edit. I am not encouraging Opie to take and disappear with her baby forever. Can't believe I need to clarify this. But Opie needs to sit down and think, is this as toxic as it sounds to a lot of us? I would also like to say, I'd only encourage anyone to take their child on a permanent basis if the child was in danger. Then I'd say go to a women's hostel, etc. Have you spoke to your husband about his controlling ways? Is your family controlling as your husband seems to think they are? Have they exhibited any worrying behavior? Also, ignore any trolls. I actually thought about doing that, especially after how he talked about my family. He even stopped me from sending them a picture later. Next story. Am I the a-hole for backing out of cooking for my dear husband's guest after he told me, do your job? My husband and I both work, equal hours. I'm a hairstylist working at a salon, and he's a warehouse manager. My mother-in-law is very old-fashioned and lives in the 1950s still. She said women can't stop taking care of their households as a priority, no matter what they achieve. I hated this, and it caused endless problems between us. My husband learned to do everything from folding his clothes to fixing the toilet, except cooking. His mom taught him that his future wife should do everything, so he didn't have to learn. He defended me against her and cut contact with her. She hasn't participated in a gathering since 2015 due to family not wanting her around. My husband cleans while I cook, but he tends to complain from time to time and throw some weird beliefs/opinions at me that are similar to what his mom thinks. I get it since he's been raised by her, and this mentality takes time to go away. Last week he had guests over and asked me to help him host dinner. We agreed that I cook and he clean like always. Guests arrived and my husband sat with them while I was in the kitchen cooking. I had issues with the oven. I was running late and dinner wasn't ready yet. My husband rushed into the kitchen asking why dinner wasn't ready yet. I said I'd be done soon. He grabbed a few glasses while pressuring me to hurry up. I made a comment about how I didn't even get to meet his guests and how unfair it was, but he just casually said, just do your job, and rushed out. I was shocked. I stopped him and asked, what did you just say to me? He looked at me quizzically. I turned the oven off and stopped cooking. He was freaking out, saying, no, wait, what are you doing? While I take my apron off. I said I don't work for him to tell me to do my job, and he should take over cooking if he thought I was slow. He begged me not to do this to him, and explained he didn't mean to tell me to do my job, but only spoke this way since he used to say stuff like that at work and wasn't paying attention. I refused to continue cooking, and went upstairs to wash the smell of onion off me. I left him in the kitchen to handle serving dinner on his own, and he came upstairs 2 hours later after the guests left and looked an absolute mess. Hair messed up, and a shirt stained. He asked if I was happy and proud of proving a point by backing out of cooking last minute, just because he slipped and accidentally said, do your job. I told him that he's an adult and is responsible for what comes out his mouth, accidental or not. And again said I didn't have to cook for his guests and that I only volunteered to help. And he sounded like his mother with what he said. He said it wasn't true, and that he was disappointed because I didn't stick to my word and left him to fend for himself and embarrassed him in front of guests by giving them half-cooked meals over something so dumb. He walked out after changing his clothes and called me mean. He wants an apology for backing out last minute knowing he can't cook. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. It's past time for him to learn to cook. Because it's not your job. He owes you an apology. Also, show him this post. Exactly, it is not her job. He should be the one apologizing, not Opie. Not the a-hole. Good for you for not putting up with your husband's crap. There is a fundamental truth in your relationship. You know how to cook and he doesn't. That means that when it comes to cooking, you have a value. He doesn't. And as you just showed him, you are in a position of power. He needs to appreciate what you do for him, not take it for granted and bark out orders to you. I will say this. He will remember this lesson. If you had backed down at the last minute, he would have taken it as you would back down if he pushed you hard enough. Now he knows you mean business, and you will not be pushed around, and you will not be treated like a servant. A marriage is a partnership, not a corporation where one person is a boss. The correct way for him to act is to show you gratitude for the efforts you put into that night's gathering. Hello. Yes, I agree with your opinion. Also, I admit I'm the type that gets easily offended. So, yeah, I might have went a bit over the top. Not stay home. Just because he accidentally said what he was pretty obviously thinking. Right. And then he has the nerve to be more worried about saving face in front of his buddies than mistreating his own wife. So he blames you. He is the problem here. Now for the last story. My boyfriend and I talked about salary for the first time, but he feels upset I was hiding mine. I have been dating Joey for 7 months, and I never felt like I was trying to hide how much money I make. I do engineering, and I'm making $130,000 salary. It's pretty standard for people who do what I do with my experience. My friends in the same industry make similar money. My day-to-day life isn't too flashy. I have a small apartment that I pay $700 monthly rent for. My hobbies are mostly athletics that don't require a lot of money past the initial gear cost. I ride my bicycle or rollerblades almost everywhere, for fitness, instead of driving most days. My car is 10 years old, and I really only use it for heavy errands or trips out of town. I enjoy thrift shopping and secondhand sales, because I don't think fast fashion or overconsumption is cool. When I travel, I like camping at campgrounds or staying at hostels, for the social aspect. Overall, I don't live a very flashy life, and I feel like status symbol belongings are super tacky. During my relationship with Joey, we shared our interests. I invited him to try the hobbies I live, like camping and swimming, going out with friends, etc. We didn't talk a lot about money past the day-to-day stuff like picking a restaurant and having offhand comments like, "Let's go here. They have 250 beers and half-off burger sale." This month, when Joey asked me to show him how to get set up with the budgeting software I use, I thought I'd start by showing him how I use mine and some of its features. But when I was showing him the tool, he was really surprised to see I had $110,000 in investments, another $50,000 in savings, no debt, at a high salary. He asked me why I had been hiding that, and I said I didn't think I was. He said that he felt I was, for a number of reasons. I will make choices about what to eat and drink while out based on the deals. I will stay in cheap hostels or campgrounds when traveling to save money. I've often said that something isn't in the budget for me this month, but I could see if I could budget for it in the future. Which is true. I budget ahead of time and keep myself to that, to resist the urge to throw money around on impulse. Having to work it into a budget makes me a lot more thoughtful. It felt like all of that was disingenuous. That I didn't need to act like a sandwich that was $12 was way too much. That I didn't have to book the crappiest accommodations. That I didn't have to budget and prepare for a month for unexpected expenses. I felt like I was being honest and tried to explain that to him. That I was just living life like normal and not trying to hide anything. It felt like I was keeping a big secret. Am I the a-hole for having hidden/not talked about my financial situation earlier? Not the a-hole. He hasn't even been dating you a year, and you don't live together. He has no reasonable expectation to know how much you earn, much less judge your spending habits. Good on you for being frugal. Jumping onto top comment to say, I'm pretty sure Joey isn't mad at Opie for acting frugal. To be honest, I think he just wanted to spend Opie's money. I guarantee next time they go out to eat, he's going to want Opie to pay, and is going to get steak or something. Honestly, if you do look past this Opie and stay with him long term, I wouldn't trust him with my finances, or at least keep finances separate. Not stay home. Not his money, not his concern. Am I the a-hole for refusing to use the money I saved for my stepdaughter's 18th birthday gift to help my daughter's treatment? I'm a father of 2, bio 26 and stepdaughter 18. I'm lucky to have established a good relationship with my stepdaughter that is based on mutual trust and respect. I raised her when she was 2 and I don't even call her my stepdaughter. I call her my own. She always dreamed of owning a car and hinted wanting a car for her 18th birthday for years. And I took it upon myself to try and save up for one. It took me years to save up the money to be able to get her a decent car as gift, and I felt thrilled I was able to achieve this goal knowing how much this means to her. I haven't bought a car yet, and I'm currently looking for something decent around 10 to 13,000. Now, my older daughter has been struggling with infertility, and she and her husband already tried clinical route but weren't successful, and they've stopped trying for a year due to financial struggles. I visited her last week, and she talked about getting ready to go through another round of IVF. We talked about the money, and she brought up the money I saved for her stepsister's car. I tried cutting the conversation, but she asked if she could borrow the money, and that she'll repay me in a few months. I said no, because what's the use of getting the money in a few months when I want to buy my stepdaughter the car this month? Her husband pointed out how his parents helped with the previous treatment costs, and now it's my turn since we're family. He said my stepdaughter can get the car anytime later, but logically the money should go towards a better cause. I declined saying that's her last birthday with family before she moves away for college, and I didn't want to disappoint her. My daughter said she wasn't asking for a fancy new car. She just longs to become a mother. In all honesty, I stated that even if I gave her money, there's no guarantee the treatment will work this time. Her husband said I had my priorities messed up, asking who in their right mind sees their child struggle with such massive issue and refuse to help, and then prioritize a car over a potential grandbaby that every sane grandparent dreams of having. He asked why isn't anyone else besides his parents helping, and my daughter said they already ask others for money but are struggling with debt with her medication. I said even if the treatment pays off, then what? Did she really think having a baby while struggling with debts was a good idea? She got quiet, and her husband asked that I leave, and that he won't call me selfish since I already know. That's why I kept getting defensive. I left without further arguing. My sister had a fight with my wife and argued with me saying I got carried away in spoiling my stepdaughter to please her mom and neglected my blood daughter and made light of her struggles. She kept insisting I do the right thing, but I was mad that my daughter told her. Even more upset that my son-in-law wanted to talk to my stepdaughter about it and spoil the surprise. I'd like to add that I'm not in good terms with my daughter's in-laws because of how they are in general, especially her mother-in-law. But I tried to stay civil till she started insulting my wife. My wife no longer wants to be around this woman, and it's understandable. But we're getting a lot of heat from my son-in-law for how we're reacting. I'm seeing a number of people asking why my daughter and her husband need the money now since they're young and can save up on their own. I'm not sure about the answer, but it seems to me that my daughter is getting pressured by her husband and his family, and adoption is off the table due to their mentality. My son-in-law is 33 years old, and he also has a medical condition to manage. Now for the top comments. Not day-hole. Whether you saved the money for a car, IVF, or women and blow, it's your money. They're not entitled to it. I also think their reasoning makes no sense. If they'll be able to pay the money back in a few months, why not wait a few months to do the treatment? They have no intention of paying anything back. I have a feeling that if they have a baby, they're constantly going to be asking for financial help. Not day-hole. What I was thinking. Honestly, I don't want to judge too harshly, but sounds like they're not prepared for a baby then. People think it's some natural right to have kids, but getting pregnant/a baby is like the first step in raising kids, and the least important thing to consider. It has become my observation that people that get so baby eager that they start steamrolling other folks around them and circling their whole life around it are usually not the best folks to become parents, even if they can financially cover it. Like, I get that it's a big deal to some folks, and heartbreaking if it doesn't work out, but this kind of uncontrolled and abusive desperation just reeks of the type of self-centeredness and arrested emotional development that makes for bad parents. Wow. It blows my mind that adults think that their parents owe them money. Like, honestly, these are two adults that they think they have a right to your money because they want a child. That is absolutely ridiculous. I would never expect my parents to give me any money for children, weddings, houses, etc. You're absolutely not the a-hole, and I applaud you in sticking to your guns for your other daughter. What a lovely gift to give her, and a lovely way to celebrate her birthday. Your daughter and sister-in-law both sound like complete a-holes, and you are right to bring up the fact that they should not be having a child if they are not financially able to support it. Not a-hole. Not a-hole. If she can pay you back in a few months, they can wait a few months to pay for it themselves. And if they can't afford a treatment, they can't afford a child. Also, I know some other commenters have said ask your stepdaughter, But please don't do that. If you do, you are putting the onus on your daughter to be the good or bad guy, and that's completely unfair. No amount of you supporting her choice will change it, and your older daughter and family will feel like they then have grounds to call your younger daughter selfish and all sorts of other horrible things. Stand your ground and use the money the way you want. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my girlfriend's daughter to my daughter's birthday party? I, 45 male, have a daughter, 15 female. She and I are very close. Her mother is not in the picture. I have been seeing Kelly for almost 2 years. She has a daughter, Anna, 16 female, with her ex, and they have joint custody of their daughter. Kelly does not live with me at the moment, but the idea has come up a few times. One of the big reasons why I am not into the idea is that Anna is horrible to my daughter. Kelly does see how Anna treats my daughter, but thinks it's just a phase. My daughter loves to play video games, sports, watch science fiction movies. Anna's the opposite. She is into makeup, wearing dresses and skirts, drama. They are two very opposite people. My daughter's birthday is coming up quick and she wants to have a huge party. I was on board with the idea, and we spent a day making invites. She passed around invites to school to all her friends, and right now the party's looking to be around 15 to 20 of her friends. My daughter made it clear that she did not want to have Anna at the party. Kelly texted me asking if her daughter was going to receive an invite, and I told her that daughter did not want to invite her. Kelly called me sobbing asking why she wasn't invited, and I told her that the invites were up to my daughter. She then proceeded to accuse my daughter as the reason why kids in school did not like Anna, and that I was a huge a-hole for supporting her decision. I told her that the reason why kids in school did not like Anna was because of the way she treats them. She hung up on me, and we haven't spoken in a few days. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my girlfriend's daughter to my daughter's birthday party? Now for the top comments. Everyone sucks here. Her for insisting her brat be invited. Yes, but why are you still with a woman who lets her daughter be nasty to yours? She sees it. She doesn't care. And you're okay with that? That's an a-hole move. I was looking for this. If your girlfriend doesn't care about your daughter's feelings when she's being mistreated by her daughter, why should you care about her daughter's feelings? The adults in the story are clearly not on the same page and should not move forward until they are. Your duty is to your daughter. Protect her. This will not get better with only time. It will get worse. Not stay home. Protect your daughter. And if your girlfriend, age 40 plus, sobs over a teenage party and her daughter is a bully, are you really sure you want to blend these families? They can't be blended. Not the way they are right now. If Opie chooses to live with his girlfriend and Anna, his own daughter will never forgive him for tying himself to her bully, nor will she forgive her stepmother for enabling Anna's behavior. If he chooses his girlfriend, he will lose his daughter. If he chooses his daughter, there's no way to move forward with this romantic relationship. If Opie's too deeply in love with his girlfriend to consider breaking up, then think the least damaging course of action is to continue seeing each other while maintaining separate households. But I'd be pretty surprised if she were satisfied with that. Next story. Am I the a-hole for asking the courts to spend 12 hours more a week than my ex as I'm dying? I, female 45, have terminal cancer and have approximately 5 to 6 months left to live. He left me a few years ago, only a few months after I was diagnosed with my terminal cancer. We have school-aged kids, and my ex, male 41, is appealing a court decision to allow me 12 hours more a week. That works out to 51% for me and 49% for him. He has told the kids that the legal costs are ruining him financially, and it's all because of me. I feel like it's taking away from my kids' estate that I will leave them, but I'm trying to spend as much time with them because I want them to remember me while I still have life in me. He refuses to talk, so everything must be done through lawyers. Am I the a-hole for prioritizing time with my kids over my ex's current financial situation? He works and makes good money. I'm on disability. Thankfully, I have a life insurance which is going to the kids, with a trustee other than my ex, that will make sure the kids are well taken care of. He's livid because I put the life insurance in the kids' names, so he's now fighting me on a little more time with my kids. Am I missing something? Not the a-hole in the slightest. Your ex, however, is a massive a-hole. It sounds like he is punishing you for not putting his name on the life insurance and using your kids as pawns in his sick game. Do what you need to make sure you make as many memories with them. I'm so sorry this is happening to you. I agree. He bailed on her after the diagnosis, which was a huge a-hole move. And now it's pissed off that she puts the kids as beneficiaries on the insurance. I'm thinking he's trying to alienate them from her, so they'll give him access to the money. He's the biggest kind of a-hole. Not the a-hole. The only reason the court is costing him more money is because he willingly continues to fight an unnecessary and idiotic battle. He's being petty as hell. You'd think he'd understand the kids should get to spend as much time as possible with their mom before she's gone. But no, he'd rather continue being a prick. Those children will grow up to know the truth, and will hate their dad forever for depriving them time with their dying mother. I hope that isn't the case though, as they will need him as they grow up. I'm terrified of his narrative, though I can't control that, so I try not to think of it. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for fighting against supporting my soon-to-be ex-wife? My soon-to-be ex-wife and I are going through a divorce. We were married for 11 years, have 3 kids together. I have custody of our kids, she has visitation. Things were crazy. She moved several of her family members into our/my home, got pissed when I had to leave the house for work all the time instead of working from home, but gave up my office for one family member so I couldn't work anymore. She didn't want me to work less either. She hated the idea of less money and her not being a stay-at-home mom anymore. We reached a breaking point when she told me I was an a-hole for not wanting to help her struggling family who didn't bring any money into the house, and showed no sign of leaving after 8 months. I also got crap for spending time with just my kids, instead of making the time with my kids time with them plus my wife's nieces and nephews who lived with us. My wife had savings from before our marriage and it was hers, and I owned a home before we married, so it was mine. She had wanted to stay living here and stay as a stay-at-home mom with me supporting them. I said hell no. Her and her family are now gone and my kids and I are the ones left here. I have friends who think I should do more so that kids can have equal access to both of us. They think regardless of what else happened, I should help her as the mother of my kids because she blew through her money and now is pooling resources with her parents, while also not working. And so my kids see her every other weekend. It turned into a fight with my ex but also one of my friends, because he said it sucks being the kids of a person who is left to be nothing while the other parents could help. I told him she could also help herself by getting a job. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You're not a boat for them all to float on. Your soon-to-be ex sounds like she wanted you to pull her family out of the mud. Well, that's their own responsibility. If this woman was working, I'd be thinking like the friend. But damn, that is absolutely not what's happening. I don't know about the rest of the world, but I refuse to help people who won't help themselves. Edited to add, you know, now that I think about it, if anyone would be getting support payments like, I don't know, child support, I'm pretty sure it'd be the parent who has primary custody of the children, which can't possibly be the ex-wife since she only sees them every other weekend. So if you really think about it, I hope you're not demanding a court order for child support is quite generous, and in a roundabout way financially supporting her. Not today, home. You said what your friend thinks your kids need, but what do your kids want? My kids don't want to go back to the communal living, which is what they would get and kind of already get with their mom. Not today, home. It's a completely different situation now that you're divorced. She's the mother of your children, so she should be working to make sure she, a now single woman through her own fault, can support them. The person letting down the kids is her, not you for not paying for her to be jobless. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for getting mad at my daughter for not telling me something happened to her? My daughter, 16, had a bad/uncomfortable experience with a male teacher a few weeks ago. I didn't find out until yesterday when I checked my Gmail. The only reason I found out is because her teacher CC'd me in an email to the principal and one of the school therapists describing what happened in detail. My daughter's been quieter and is spending more time in her room, but she's 16, so I didn't think anything of it. After reading the email, I went to my daughter's room and asked why she never told me anything. She said she didn't want to talk about it. I said she felt like talking about it with the teacher, and according to the principal's and therapist's responses to the email, it looks like she's been talking to them about it too. She'd known the teacher and the therapist for a couple weeks when this happened, but she still chose to talk to them instead of me. She blew up on me and said she didn't tell me because she knew I wouldn't have done anything. Like how I didn't want to do anything when the school refused to do home/hospital schooling when she was in the hospital. She has health issues that had her in the hospital for most of 2019/the beginning of 2020, or when teachers failed her for not being able to keep up with school during her treatments. I told her that's still not an excuse, and I'm her mother, so I have a right to know things before her teacher. She hasn't left her room since, and my older daughter, 26, said I'm being a witch. Apparently she knew before me too. Am I the a-hole for being mad at my daughter? You're the a-hole, Mom. Epic parenting fail. You made it about you, instead of keeping it about her. I also made it her daughter's fault. What the hell, Opie? You're the a-hole. Your daughter was not comfortable sharing what happened with you because you didn't stand up for her in the past. When you did find out, instead of trying to support/comfort/help her, you decide to berate her for not telling you. I cannot believe that you didn't press for homeschooling when your child had health issues and was in the hospital for over 1 year. I feel sorry for your children. They deserve better. You're the a-hole. She has the right to choose who she's comfortable with talking to and sharing things with, particularly about things at school. It sounds like you've shown her exactly who you are, and she's made reasonable decisions about trust and respect based on that. You're the a-hole. Instead of asking what you can do, you scolded her for what exactly? Not trusting you with the information? Not believing telling you would accomplish anything? Notice how neither of those are a problem with your daughter. They're problems with your side of the mother/daughter relationship. Am I the a-hole for posting about my 29 female engagement and pregnancy on Facebook, despite knowing that my ex 32 male is struggling with infertility? Hi all. I've kind of accepted that I might be the a-hole here, but my fiancé says I'm not. I wanted a second opinion. For context, my ex Kevin, 32 male, and I have a child together that I put up for adoption when I was 22. I did it largely because I didn't want to have a child with Kevin. He had a really bad temper. He was pretty irresponsible, and neither of us had steady jobs at a time. I supported us through freelance writing, but being pregnant meant that I didn't get many of the jobs I had before. I knew that neither of us would be good parents, and that relinquishment was the right choice. But if he had told me he wanted to keep the child, I wouldn't have fought him on that. When the time came, he signed the relinquishment papers without argument. Our daughter is now 7, and she seems very happy with her adoptive parents. So while the situation does still cost me pain every once in a while, I can't complain about the outcome. Kevin and I eventually broke up when he cheated on me with his current wife, Stacy, 25 female. I wasn't that torn up about it because we were honestly only staying together because of the trauma we both shared. I have since found stable work as a software engineer and recently bought a house with the extra money. My fiancé Lex, 34 male, knew this about me from the first time we met. Thankfully, it wasn't a deal breaker for him. We started dating when I was 27. I'm 29 now. And he proposed about a month ago. I accepted. Then we found out I was 3 months pregnant about a week after he proposed, which was a shock to both of us because I'm on long-term birth control. Despite the circumstances, we're overjoyed and have decided to keep the baby. Since we already passed the first trimester before we discovered I was pregnant, we decided to announce the engagement and the pregnancy at the same time. My ex flipped out. He got my number from my mom and started blowing up my phone. He told me that I forced him to put our child up for adoption. I didn't. And that I don't deserve to have a child now, knowing that I abandoned our firstborn. I blocked him. He bought burner phones. Then his wife started getting in on it, vacillating between crying and screaming at the voicemail she sent. It got so bad I had to change my number. Lex is telling me that all of this is bananas, and that if Kevin was really ready to become a parent, he would have put his foot down when the time came. My mother, on the other hand, says that I should be more compassionate towards them. A part of me doesn't want to be compassionate towards either of them. As selfish as this seems, I feel like I was the one who primarily struggled with the adoption, but like Kevin didn't support me at all through the entire event. I also have to admit I knew about their infertility struggles and didn't care. Am I the a-hole here, guys? I don't think any of this would have happened if I didn't announce it on Facebook. Now for the top comments. Honestly, OP, I am very glad that you made the right decision to get your first child adopted. A child deserves a stable home and parents who can take care of him or her. Your current pregnancy is none of Kevin's business. As for your mother, you better tell her clearly that she's not to give out your number to anyone without your consent. Kevin sounds like both him and his wife need serious therapy. Their infertility is their problem, not yours. Congrats on a new baby and best wishes. I want to send them a text being like, and now we all know why I decided to give our child away, but that feels mean-spirited. No, don't waste your time, Opie. Kevin is not part of your life anymore. The guy has serious problems. You have changed your number and now you need to concentrate on your own pregnancy and make sure you stay healthy. You have your own life now. She also needs a restraining order against X and his wife because they don't sound like the most well-balanced beings on the planet. Not stay home, but I'd get a restraining order against Kevin and his wife and tell your mom to stay out of your business. Ditto. The burner phones and voice messages are stalking behavior. Your safety could be compromised. Also, you are allowed to announce happy things going on in your life. Their response is about them. They're just looking to blame you. Finally, congratulations on the engagement and pregnancy. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé he committed theft by gifting his nephew the gift I bought for my sick brother? My female 30 brother, male 16, was born with a heart condition that prevented him from living his childhood to the fullest and doing his favorite activities. He can't do most things due to his condition and the side effects his medications have on him. My parents have always struggled with money because of medical bills, and unfortunately they cannot afford to buy my brother nice things. For example, he always wanted a console to play with. He only gets to play when my uncle and cousins visits and bring their console. My brother has been feeling sad and lonely recently after his doctors recommended that visits be limited. I decided to use my salary to get him his own console and wait till Christmas to give it to him. I bought an Xbox and it has been sitting in my closet until I discovered that my fiancé took it and sent it to his nephew who lives states away. I was in dismay. I confronted him about it, asking why he took the Xbox knowing it was supposed to be a gift for my brother. He said he knew, but explained his sister's single mom and couldn't buy any gifts for her son. Nor are they receiving gifts from family since they're all ignoring her after giving her money, so they think they've done enough. He told me he felt sorry for his nephew and wanted to cheer him up, but didn't have money, so he thought that he could send him the Xbox, and then we'll figure out what I'm going to gift my brother together. I told him he had no right to touch the Xbox, and said that what he did was theft, which made him upset and somewhat shocked. He said he was very hurt I essentially called him a thief, when he thought that I cared about our nephew as much as he does. I'd explained my brother does not need the Xbox since he can't find time to play due to his condition, and also not finding playmates also due to his condition. I told him my brother was still capable, and he was making it seem as if he wasn't, but he argued he didn't mean it this way, just that he was hurt I called his good deed theft. But I stood by what I said and demanded he either pay for the Xbox or pay me, but he acted more hurt, calling me careless and mean to take a gift from a child like that. But I said I didn't gift his nephew this device, and so it is not my problem. He gave me complete silence and then went to stay at a hotel for 3 days, saying I was being unfair to him and hurt him deeply. The problem still stands, and he is counting on me to let it go and see that he was just helping a sister and nephew out. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. How can he afford a hotel for 3 days but not an Xbox? This was my first thought. My second is file a police report. OP, file a police report. Seriously. Also, call the sister and tell her that the Xbox is not a gift for her son, and if she doesn't return, you'll file against her for receiving stolen property. Then break up with your boyfriend, as he has no respect for you. He stole your stuff and insulted your brother. He thinks his family is more important than yours. Not stay home. Demand the money back. And you're not taking a gift from a child. He was the one who took a gift from your brother. Also, if he can afford to stay in a hotel for a few days out of pettiness, he can definitely afford to pay for his nephew's presents. That last bit. How can you not have money for a gift but you can go stay at a hotel? Even without the rest of the foolishness is saying that makes him the a-hole. You're definitely not the a-hole, OP. Not the a-hole. You should seriously rethink this relationship. Your fiancé is a thief and now is trying to gaslight you. Red flags. And pretty freaking ableist, thinking a child with a heart condition is too disabled to 1. Have friends, and 2. Enjoy video games. He thinks his non-disabled nephew is more deserving of an expensive gift. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not paying for my date? So me, 26 male, and Kyla, 24 female, matched on a dating app. We messaged a few times, but nothing really happened from it. Couple months later, we see each other at a mutual friend's wedding. We talk most of the night and have a great time. I ask for Kyla's number from our mutual friend. We text for a few weeks and eventually make plans to meet. We have plans to meet for drinks, and she cancels last minute. Basically, 10 minutes before we are set to meet for dinner, Kyla tells me something came up and can't make it. I tell Kyla it's fine, and she starts taking longer to text, is short and less engaged. Eventually, Kyla quits responding and I move on. A week later, she calls to apologize and asks if we can meet up again. I agree only because my friend's new wife convinced me. Date comes and it started off rocky. Kyla showed up late saying traffic was bad. She brought up her past relationships constantly and it made me uncomfortable. She did apologize for canceling the first date, saying she was nervous. She also had multiple drinks at a shot. I only had 2 drinks. She was also on her phone, not the whole date, but enough for me to notice. Things weren't going well and the conversation was stiff. When the bill comes, they ask how we're doing it, and I say split it. Kyla looks at me and says, I didn't actually bring my wallet. At this point, I'm just done and says, I'm sorry, but I'm not paying, and I don't think this is gonna work. I paid my bill and left while Kyla sat there. My friend's wife calls me that night yelling at me, calling me an a-hole. I guess Kyla's sister had to come bring her money, and I've been called an a-hole by some of the friend group. Am I? Not an a-hole. What kind of idiot doesn't bring any money at all to a date? It was really presumptuous of her to expect you to pay in the first place. Not bring her wallet is just downright manipulation. Good for you for sticking to your guns. I am 33 and from my experience in dating during my generation, whoever invites the other out is the one who is expected to pay. Expected is in quotes because it is not a requirement. Not only is Opie not an a-hole, she invited him out this time and should have paid herself if the check was not split. Not an a-hole. Edit. The word expected was in quotes because I couldn't think of another word to use, but splitting is still the standard. If anyone pays for the whole thing, it's the inviter. This isn't required but is polite. That being said, it isn't impolite to split either. Not an a-hole. Nobody should show up to a date without money to pay their fair share. Exactly. And at 24, it's easy to be mistaken for 20. How do people go out drinking without identification? Not an a-hole. Nobody forgets their wallet. If I canceled on someone at the last minute, I would welcome the chance to treat them. Edit. If she had her phone, she could have offered to Venmo or Cash App. Yep, I don't understand why no one brought up Venmo. If I'd honestly forgotten my wallet or card, I'd just tell my dates as soon as I realized and ask if I could Venmo them if they're able to cover the tab. Then there would be no a-holes. Next story. Am I the a-hole for being an ungrateful, spoiled brat for the Christmas gift my husband got me? I, female 35, want to begin by saying that in every holiday, me and my husband, male 33, we both work decent jobs, set separate budgets for gifts. He uses his own money to buy gifts and I do the same. We've been married for almost a year, together for 3, and this is our first Christmas as married couple. He made a list of every person he wanted to buy a gift for. I stumbled upon this list by accident and out of curiosity, decided to take a look. I found that his friends/coworkers were on top of his list with gifts that cost over $5,000 total. For example, he got a $600 wristwatch for his coworker, a $250 bracelet for his sister-in-law, and a $900 workout gear for his friend. There was more, but that's all I could remember. What made me upset was that when I got to my name, I saw that he bought me a $20 something kitchen spoon set. Stainless steel. I was too shocked to ignore this, and I had a confrontation with him about it. He argued that A, it's his money, he's the one paying, so I should not control that, and B, his coworker/friends are important to him and has known them for ages. C, he said a gift should be appreciated no matter what it cost. I argued that he was disrespecting me and dismissing my feelings with the gift he chose to get me, not to mention that I spent a lot of money for his gifts to buy him his favorite shoe/gaming brands. But he got upset and said I was acting like an ungrateful, spoiled brat, and urged me to get rid of this attitude and accept what I'm giving. The argument got worse and we stopped talking to each other. He still says I'm being ridiculous with my overreaction and should stop. Did I overreact? Now for the comments. There's still time to return his gifts and get him a $20 gift card to the local home improvement store. Not an a-hole. Yep. It would be one thing if she was a spoon collector, and while cheap, the set was unique and interesting, or just something she really wanted. who's putting no thought into it. He gave her what you'd give someone you didn't know that well as a housewarming gift. Also, it's a kitchen utensil, so he's buying something for the house rather than something his wife personally likes. Girl, if you're gonna be the last thing on his priority list, better give him nicely wrapped divorce papers this Christmas. Not stay home. This right here. He basically give you a box of red flags for Christmas. Take the hint and kick this guy to the curb. Not stay home. I'm stunned reading that the most important person in his life is worth less thoughtfulness than a coworker, which can come and go. In most marriages, assets are considered jointly, and spending decisions are made jointly as well within a certain limit. His Christmas spending, even with a huge income, seems very excessive to me, and kinda inappropriate / unprofessional, especially if they can't reciprocate on that level. I'd question if the coworker is just a coworker. I want to know how many of these people he's sleeping with. $900 on a coworker? Last story. Am I the a-hole for not getting my friend a $200 gift and making her feel unloved? My 28 male friend, 27 female, is usually a very kind person. But we recently got into a stupid argument and I wanted to post it here. My friend is obsessed with the 5 love languages. She always asks people what their love language is, and she does her best to show love by using your love language. She says that her love language is receiving gifts, so everyone should put a lot of thought into her gifts. I thought I put a good amount of thought into her gift. She likes this one brand of artisan coffee from a local shop, so I bought her a big bag of that coffee from the store and a nice mug to go with it. It cost about $45 in total. We did our gift exchange 1 week ago and she seemed disappointed when she opened her gift. I asked her what was wrong, and she asked how much I spent on the gift. I told her the price, and she said she expected a nicer gift, preferably about $200. She said that my cheap gift meant that she felt unloved, because receiving gifts is her love language. That admittedly pissed me off. I called her selfish and materialistic, and took the coffee and mug from her. I figured if she didn't want it, she shouldn't have it. I left without opening my gift, and now we haven't spoken in a few days. Am I the a-hole? She clearly thinks I am, but I think she's more of the a-hole here. Not the a-hole. Those who have gift-giving as their love language don't care about its monetary value but about its thoughtfulness and meaning, and your gift was very thoughtful. She's just a materialistic a-hole. Just this. Your friend's explanation of my love language is gifts and then demanding expensive gifts as a means to show your love back is just utter BS. I'd be curious to know just how kind she is in other regards. And I'll be honest here, I'd look at the examples very carefully to see if it's really a case of manipulation rather than true kindness. Agreed. She gives off the vibe of I did all these nice things for my friends, so I deserve nice gifts. So entitled. I'm so happy took the gift back. Not stay home. She's ridiculous. And one of the many people who weaponize the love languages concept instead of using it for its intended purpose. See also, giving gifts isn't my love language, so you're not allowed to expect gifts from me ever. Tell her your love language is brand new cars. Exclusively. Anything pre-owned would be a slap in the face. Am I the a-hole for ruining my niece's birth over a name? Hi. All names have been changed for obvious reasons. I, 29 female, was pregnant with my twins a few years ago. Unfortunately, only one baby survived. A little boy who we called Henry. And my daughter who passed, we called her Daphne. Now, me and my sister were closer growing up, but we drifted apart. And there was rivalry on her part after I met my partner. For example, she hated that we got engaged before her. She has been with her partner for 3+ more years. And she threw a fit saying she wouldn't attend our wedding unless she was engaged too. They had an engagement as he wanted a happy life, and she threw an engagement party on the night before my wedding. When I announced my pregnancy, she wasn't happy, as I'd done another thing before her. But when my daughter died, she seemed to become a lot nicer. And because of this change, we made her Henry's godparent. She became pregnant recently,
and refused to announce a name until a few days after birth. The baby girl was called Theodora, which is beautiful. I was bringing presents to her, and then saw my dad building a huge toy box with Daphne on it. When I questioned, I was told the baby's called Daphne, and only Theodora in paper, that no one will use full name, only her nickname. All my family knew and supported her. I got upset and started shouting, asking if it was a cruel prank. She came out and told me to buzz off, that I don't own a name and she liked it since my baby's funeral. My family are on her side and say, why do I care? My baby's not here, so there is no confusion. I don't see why cause a scene and ruin a happy time, and why can't I be happy for her? That I'm petty and cruel, and they want me to apologize, but I don't want to. Edit. Thank you for so many kind responses. To answer, I will not be reaching out to any of the family anytime soon. Also, to clear up some questions asked, I do think she was happy in my misfortune. Hindsight is great. I did not want to think the worst at the time, but I was very, very ill. Doctor told my husband I may die, so they delivered the children early. She told him she could take the babies if I died, as he could not cope alone. Fortunately, I survived, but I lost my child in the process. I do think she felt happy in this to see me suffer. She has always had a rivalry with me. I do not understand why. I don't make anything a competition, but she always has been a golden child. When I started dating my partner, she took him away from dancing with me at my birthday to tell him she thinks he would be better suited with someone like her, not like me. That she takes better care of her looks, has a better job. She does not think my job counts as it is working with disabled children, etc. She was also in a relationship at the time, so she always made it known I did not deserve the things I have. I would not say she wants to be me though. We have very different lives and look different, and she has not tried to copy my looks or career. Only things like men, marriage, babies, house, etc. Which I believe is more to want me than to be me, if this makes sense. Our family think she is an angel, and are very vocal on social media how beautiful and successful she is in all her endeavors, baby included. I do not get this, but I stopped caring a long time ago. I have come to terms with it, and I no longer feel like I need a negativity in my life and will stop flogging a dead horse, if that is the right expression. Now for the top comments. So not Dayhall. Especially her saying that she liked the name since your daughter's funeral. From all the names in the world, she chose this one. And the worst part is, it's not even the official name for the baby. I wonder if she didn't choose that name to hurt you. If I were you, I'd tell her to get lost and I would cut contact with her. She sounds toxic. Seriously, what the hell is this sick, twisted crap right here? Sister is disgusting, and OP is not Dayhall. I'm just about the least superstitious person on the planet, but naming your baby after a dead baby just sounds like you're tempting fate. Not Dayhall. What a cruel and tasteless thing to do. Throw the whole family away. Disgusting behavior. I'm sorry for your loss, and that you have to deal with such Nahal family. I lost a baby myself during pregnancy. It's a wound that will stay forever. Even though we weren't able to get to know them, they were / are still here. It's a complete different situation than when people call dibs on names. I'm sorry. I hope you can find peace far away from those people you have to call family. P.S. As it sounds, your sister was only suddenly nice to you after your loss so she can shine. Look at me how much I care and do. She's the biggest a-hole. I also think one of the other comments was right in thinking that the sister enjoyed seeing something bad happen to Opie. She couldn't be kind or supportive when she saw Opie as winning, but she was happy to play perfect sister as long as she was sure Opie was suffering. She liked it since my baby's funeral. How does a person not stop and reevaluate their entire existence after something so grisly comes out of their mouth? Not Dayhole. That line in Opie's post made my jaw drop. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for how I reacted when my husband said he won't be with me when I give birth? My husband, male 33 and I, female 26, are expecting our first baby together. I have a scheduled C-section on Sunday, and my husband said he can't be there with me because he has a business trip that he'll be leaving for Saturday evening. He said he couldn't skip the trip even if he tried, and claimed that because he missed several work trips in the past 6 months, he's worried he might lose his job if he declined to go. I asked him if he could explain to them that you have a valid reason not to come, but he said his boss doesn't listen and doesn't care. The problem is that this is my first time, And like any other woman, I wanted my husband to be there with me as support. His excuse was that I have an entire medical team. It is not like this was a natural birth because I would be under anesthesia. He suggested I take my mom or his mom with me, but as a father I expected him to be the first person to want to welcome our son, even if he couldn't be in the room. He said if he stayed there wasn't much he was going to do since again. I'll have doctors and nurses taking care of me. But if he goes on this trip, then he'll bring home money to support us. But I told him emotional support can never be replaced if my own husband won't be there to provide it for me. He clearly got upset over me continuously bringing this up, and this morning we had an argument where he called me selfish and making him look like a bad husband/dad, and accusing him of not caring about meeting his baby when he's trying to support us. I got mad at him for calling me that, and mentioned he had no consideration for how I feel about this, and acting like my concerns weren't valid. He said he got sick of arguing and got his phone and keys and about to leave. Before he left, he said I shouldn't worry because I won't die, which was a rude thing to say, given that I have my own concerns since this is my first time. He texted me apologizing for what he said, but said I kept pressuring him, knowing his circumstances. Edited to add, the previous trips he missed were over his friend's wedding, his brother's welcoming party, and his cousin's trip. If he could skip work trips for these reasons, then I wonder why his child's birth isn't necessary enough for him to stay. Not day hall. There's more afoot here. If you were able to schedule your delivery, then he had advance notice of the timing and should have the time off already. And if it was last minute, like a natural delivery is, his employer knows that it's coming. And you don't need him just for the delivery, but for everything else that goes with it. Getting there, any prep that goes on, the delivery, and after delivery, the first days at home. I usually make a plea for fixing relationships, but this would be a deal breaker for me. If he truly believes delivery and infant care is something you can handle alone, then I think I'd call his bluff and change the locks. Yeah, strikes me as something more going on, too. Why is he prioritizing work so hard now? Because work is code for girlfriend would be my guess. Not day hall. Is he curing cancer? President of the United States' favorite bodyguard? Flying a shuttle to an asteroid heading for Earth in a last-ditch attempt to drill a hole, embed a nuclear warhead to break it up, and hopefully save all of mankind? If his job is nothing like that, he needs to find a spine and a new employer. This is a scheduled C-section, so he's known for at least, 2 months? It's a major surgery. He should be there and has had plenty of time to stand up for himself and, frankly, start job hunting. This is the kind of scenario that usually puts things in perspective for people. Because the issue isn't just whether or not he's there for the birth of his child, it's a matter of the kind of father he's going to be. Somehow I bet the employer does not know. Most employers/bosses try to keep these kinds of things in mind. This would be divorce level for me. No time for someone who doesn't prioritize their family in literally the most important day of their lives. Honestly, this was kind of my dad, and I don't think my mom ever really forgave him for it. In their case, not birth, but I was hospitalized with the flu when I was 2, and my dad, 1, didn't cut his work trip short, and 2, didn't come to the hospital right away when he did get home, instead going straight to work to finish out the workday. He also decided not wanting to get fired. They didn't divorce, but they may as well have, the way they are now. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my son out? My 64 male 21-year-old son, his then girlfriend, and their baby daughter recently moved to my city from out of state. I live in an expensive urban area, so I welcomed them with open arms into my home while they got situated. Everything was going smoothly. Until 2 months in, and my son was arrested on a probation violation on an underlying robbery charge. Although my son has a spotty criminal history that has caused some tension in our family in the past, his robbery charge is far and above anything he's ever done, and it puts a very bad taste in my mouth. He's often careless, a bit selfish, and can be very immature at times, hence the probation violation. I was very angry at him when it happened, I still am, for throwing away his life and putting his girlfriend and my grandkid into a very difficult spot. His girlfriend broke up with him while he was being held in jail, and I also told him that he was not welcomed back into my home. It has been roughly a year, and my son has been released from jail. My grandkid and his ex-girlfriend still live with me, as I love having them here, and I've come to love my grandkid's mother as my own daughter. I'm more than happy to help her with childcare and housing, especially because it's not her fault that my son made poor decisions that affected her. However, my son has nowhere to go. He has been couch surfing from friend's house to friend's house since his release and has had some trouble finding work. He's very upset that I chose his ex and my grandkid over him, and is angry that I won't move him back into my house. If I move him into my house, my grandkid and his ex will need to move out, and I don't want that to happen. I've been standing my ground and not letting him back to my house. However, I'm beginning to wonder if I was too harsh on him. Now for the comments. Not today, Hall. His ex is family now, by blood. The son is ruining the vibe. He needs to man up. And you raised better. That's part of it. I was really out of the picture his whole life until he was in jail on the robbery charge, so I feel sort of like I owe him a place to stay since. But the grandkid and the mom are more important. The son may need help, but how can you help if he's bad with money? I kicked my friend out because of aggravated battery. You can't have that around the grandkid until he mans up. You're totally not the a-hole. Right now, if he can't get a job, it's because he doesn't want to. Everywhere is desperate. Could be the criminal record is hindering him, as well as his attitude. As someone with a felony, no, it ain't. The vast majority of kitchen jobs are now 15 plus an hour in places with a 7.25 minimum wage. There's very few kitchen jobs that background check. I don't know how active his job search has been. He has a bad record, but just 2 felonies, and he has kitchen work on his resume. Not today, Hall. Your grandchild is your priority, and that means prioritizing their primary caregiver, as in your son's ex. Your son is a grown man. He'll figure something out. I also feel kind of responsible for him because he's never really had to fend for himself before. And on top of that, I'm the one who convinced him to move to a whole new state, so he doesn't have many connections. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my sister that she's the pregnant one? My 17 male sister, 19 female, went to a party and got pregnant. My parents, 42 female and 46 male, have been supportive and helpful throughout the entire thing. We have an adopted sister, 15 female. She was adopted because my mom's friend was fostering her and heard my mom had shared medical vulnerabilities. And when my mom talked to her about it, she realized how much she's been through, and after asking us, adopted her. Now, she is a really sweet person. It has always been really nice to us, but my sister has been tolerant of her at best. Yet when she got pregnant, things changed fast. She's just a jerk to me in general, with demanding things and acting like she owns the place and is my boss or something. But to our adopted sister, she doesn't mind throwing insults or being even more jerkish to her because she's too nice and scared to say no. She also makes fun of her for asking to sleep near or in the same bed as my mom on some days because of PTSD. I don't know what it was today, but when she started yelling at my adopted sister for not grabbing her water fast enough, I told her that, you're the pregnant one here. You chose to get with and get pregnant by some irresponsible deadbeat. I didn't choose to be your brother, nor did she choose to be your sister. So you can do things your freaking self. She retorted that she's the one dealing with all the stress of supporting it, and the one preparing herself for labor, which she already feared, and just dealing with hormones. I responded with, how do you think she, adopted sister, feels being in pain and dealing with trauma, and then having to deal with your sorry self? How do you think I feel knowing if something happens, I'm going to feel morally obligated to take care of my niece all because your stupid self couldn't be responsible? She told us to get out, and now I feel I may have gone overboard. Not the a-hole. Your sister is definitely the a-hole in this scenario. She's 19, you're 17, and your adopted sister is 15. Do your parents know that your older sister is tormenting your younger sister? Have you talked to your parents about this behavior / your concerns? Your sister is going to have to deal with the consequences of her actions. That doesn't include a free pass to treat others badly, and both of you are well within your rights to put up boundaries and maintain them. She isn't entitled to your help. You engaged in what I call word vomit, and it commonly happens when you tolerate bad behavior for so long without saying anything. Sometimes it just spills out of you. Resentment and bullying can definitely lead to these emotional explosions. While it's not kind to say hurtful things to others, it's often the result of allowing them to treat you badly for far too long. It's time to put your foot down and stop allowing your sister to get away with her behavior. pregnancy has nothing to do with it. Not Dayhall. You need to sit down with your mother and tell her exactly how your sister is treating your youngest sibling. This kid has been through enough trauma without a spoiled oldest deciding that she is now a personal house servant. Not Dayhall. I don't care if you're pregnant or not. Who the heck taunts someone with trauma? Sounds like pregnant sister is an emotional vomiter. She's stressed, can't deal with it, and throwing her garbage on everyone else. It's hard being pregnant, I get it, but find help. Mistreating family will get you nowhere and a lot less support. Not Dayhall. Good for you standing up for younger sister. Maybe you went too far? However, if your sister's behavior is that bad, then she deserved it. Standing up for yourself or others that are being harassed is never a bad thing. Where are your parents in all this? I would definitely make sure they know she's tormenting your younger sister.